problem with. I start to close things, but I just hope this computer, I have one last chance. I've rebooted it several times. The dinosaur one, okay, here we go.
Save those changes.
And then I might be able, I think I know what happened. I think I called in and I didn't click on the link, so I think you'll
you did.
see me
Yeah, because it's got your voice, but it doesn't have you.
Hang on, so we'll be there in a second as long as this doesn't crash.
We're still okay on time, so there's a couple.
Anybody signed in yet?
2 people.
And how many signed up? 68?
69.
69.
As of when I got ready to hit start, we have 69 signed in. So we're still, we're still okay. Wait a few extra minutes.
I don't know why in the world this is not working. Excellent connection.
I almost closed the whole thing. Yes.
No, guys. Oh, no. I closed the shade. The utility guy showed up. Marissa, anything that's could go wrong today has. Okay.
I told you I rarely forward things on just because I think people have enough in their life to see stuff. But
I don't either.
I mean, this morning.
Yeah, I get forwards from other people, and I'm like, they must spend half their day doing the forwards, or the same people that are doing Facebook all day. And I always laugh, and I'm like, well, thank goodness for them, because I wouldn't laugh if a smile.
That's right.
But I don't. Okay. So when you sent it to me, I giggled to myself because not only do I not, and so I can appreciate that. It was so cute, though. And it was needed at that moment in time.
That's how I felt this morning. My mom is one of those because she's retired, and so she's online all day long.
Yeah.
She sent me like 5,000 emails. I'm like, really? I don't have time to read. But that one was just cute. I'm hiding from Monday.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so we still have just 2 people.
So they might be signing up so that they can listen to it later.
I hope so.
Okay, do I really need, the second computer is the one that I usually do the hyperlink. It shows that I'm there. Do I need to be in it?
No.
Okay.
It makes no difference. As long as we can hear you, then I would think. I mean, I can hear you. I hope they can.
I don't see why they wouldn't be able to.
I don't either.
And then I'll mute when you're talking so that we don't have any snafus. Marissa, just in case there's a big bang outside and they start crazy barking, what are we doing?
Mute, and I'll pick up right where you are.
You'll know. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll just pick up because I have the script. So
yep.
I will just pick up right where you are.
Okay. Hopefully that's not the case, but.
And I have read and reread, and I think that. I think I got all the dates right. I kept trying to do like 2014, 2015, and I think we have them all correct.
Oh, for goodness sakes, here we go. I think it's going to start working. It only took 10 minutes. Come on.
Okay, we have 5 people in so far. To fix that. I bet I can. Okay, this is not your slide, so don't worry about it. I'm just changing something real quick. I have to make this one up as I go. Drag and drop, multiple choice, selective, highlighting. go ahead and start everything and just let them know we're waiting a couple more minutes.
Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to our webinar, The Ins and Outs of the NJ Ask 2014, a Parent's Guide. We have a few other parents who are still in the process of signing in, so we're going to wait about 1 or 2 more minutes while they get set on their computers. But we certainly want to honor your time, so we will not wait very long, and then we will go ahead and get started. Okay, well, I'd like to go ahead and welcome you again. This is the Lumos Learning webinar on the ins and outs of the NJ Ask 2014, a Parent's Guide, working towards supporting students towards success on the NJ Ask. My name is Marisa Adams, and after 12 years of working in public schools as both a teacher and then as an administrator, I left campus and began working with Lumos Learning. Currently, I serve as the Director of Curriculum there. I will be one of the facilitators for our time together this morning, and it's my pleasure to introduce our other facilitator, Ms. Jennifer Torres. She is the Marketing Director here at Lumos Learning and has over a decade of experience working with public schools publishing educational materials. Together, we have quite a bit of background in understanding the unique nature and needs of schools, students, and parents, and their demands on time. Before we get started with our webinar, we have a few housekeeping tasks to mention. During the presentation, all lines will be muted. This will allow others the best opportunity to hear the presentation. However, we definitely want active participation. At times, we will unmute the lines if there are specific questions, and at any point in time during the presentation, you can type a question into the chat or use the raise the hand feature. We might not be able to call on you immediately, but we will hold on to the question. Secondly, our presentation, just like any of our webinars, they will be videotaped, archived, and used with other parents and students, possibly schools, at later dates. So this will also include all of your answers and questions and comments, so just keep that in mind, that all of our information is videotaped and archived. And if there are not any questions at this time, then we will go ahead and begin.
Great. Thanks, Marissa. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us as we explore a Parent's Guide to the New Jersey Ask 2014. We are excited to have a full house with us today. Because we have so many people online, as Marissa mentioned, we will have all participants muted during the webinar. This will give everyone the best opportunity to hear all the content. As mentioned, we will have a time for a question and answer portion at the end of the presentation. However, I want you to feel free to participate in the discussion. If you have a question or comment you feel needs to be addressed during the presentation, feel free to type it in the chat box on your screen. Please also note that our sessions are videotaped and archived for later use, which will include any questions you may ask.
As parents, we know it can be very stressful to try and determine the best way to support children throughout the process of any standardized test. The NJ Ask is no exception. As a parent first and an educator second, I can relate to this stress. Learning the ways to support my daughter as she faces these exams has been crucial to her success and my sanity. We're going to be covering quite a few relevant topics today. We're going to take a look at exactly what the Common Core State Standard Initiative is, the history of that initiative, where it currently is and where it will be in the future, how the NJASC looks for the 2013-2014 school year, and what the NJASC transition is and how it's continuing this year, as well as how you can help your child successfully survive the NJASC. And then we will follow up with some time for questions and answers.
If you have joined us for our webinars in the past, or if you follow current educational trends and discussion, you have no doubt heard of the Common Core State Standards Initiative. But hearing about it and understanding what exactly is this initiative, as well as how it will impact your children, are two different things. At its core, this initiative revolves around the idea of standards. Educational standards are not a new idea. New Jersey has had state standards for a number of years, and whether we like them or not, standards are here to stay in some form or another. In fact, educational standards are being standardized themselves, and as the accountability movement progresses, educational leaders in many states have recognized the need for more robust and rigorous guidelines. The Common Core State Standards Initiative was created from that need. It is a state-led effort that is coordinated by the Council of Chief State School Officers and the National Governors Association for best practices, and has been built by school administrators, teachers, and other educational experts. The benefit of putting standards into action that align academic goals from state to state is that they create an environment where students will be able to graduate high school with all skills necessary to be active and successful members of society. Whether they take a role in the workforce or in some sort of post-secondary education. While the Common Core State Standards establish the skills students need to be successful, they only serve as a guide for educators. Each state has the authority to determine if they want to use the standards, how they will further develop them, and how they will be implemented. Once the state makes their determination, local school districts and teachers then further establish how students will be taught.
Just to give you a little bit of background, in June 2010, the first set of mathematics and language arts literacy academic guidelines were released. This was actually the beginning of attempting to standardize educational content across the various states. The current alignment is known as the Common Core State Standards. These guidelines have currently been adopted by 45 states, the District of Columbia, 4 territories, and the Department of Defense Education Group. The map at the top right of the slide offers a quick visual as to which states have adopted the standards. It is important to note, though, that while these standards are not prescriptive in nature, they offer guidelines as to what content should be taught at which grade level. The standards also scaffold and stair-step in construction. They build upon one another. A student may be exposed to particular content in one grade level and then should be able to analyze it at a later level. Looking towards the future, the goal for the initiative is to finalize aligning the Common Core State Standards and the current accountability systems within each state. This is a process that has been going on for several years now and is being finalized in this year. There are 2 consortiums that drive the assessment portion. PARC, which stands for the Partnership for Assessment and Readiness for College and Careers, and Smarter Balanced. States have the choice to join one or the other based on their preferences. Some states choose to adopt the Common Core State Standards, but assess them in their own way. New Jersey has made the choice to work with PARC as a governing state.
The purpose of any standardized test is to measure student knowledge on a prescribed set of content. The New Jersey Ask is no exception. All states which have adopted these new standards are moving towards implementing the best they can within a certain time frame. New Jersey has been working on this change for some time now. And then, in the past, the content measured was the New Jersey Core Curriculum Content Standards. Last year, considered to be Transition Year 1, it was a combination of the CCSS and the Common Core State Standards in all content areas. For the 2014 school year, students in grades 3 to 8 will be tested on Common Core State Standard aligned content that has been filtered into the familiar format of the NJASC. Students in grades 4 and 8 will also take a science test over content aligned to the New Jersey Core Curriculum Content Standards. The New Jersey Ask has been modified in order to implement the new CCSS. However, this test won't be the final one developed, as the full range of standards will be on the new test developed and administered by PARC. Again, the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers in 2015.
So as you can see on your screen, for math, students will test in grades 3 through 8. For English Language Arts, they will test in grades 3 through 8. For science, only grades 4 and 8 will test. And then some campuses are participating in the PARC field test. And as we move into this spring testing season, it is important to have an understanding of exactly what might be included on the PARC tests. This has not been fully finalized at this point because this is transition year 2. Field testing will go on through the spring, but there has been much information released about the types of questions that will be included on the PARC tests. In fact, you may have already heard some of this information from your children at home because they are becoming familiarized with it in their classroom. They might see drag and drop type questions, definitely multiple choice, which they're used to, the open-ended, selective highlighting. The PARC test will be tested. It's a technology-based test, so students will be tested on the computer, and they will be using these drag and drop skills, these selective highlighting skills to complete their assessment. Now again, this is part of the field test, which is occurring this year. Over 75% of school districts across New Jersey have at least one campus participating in field testing. If you have not received any information from your campus and you're not sure if your child will participate in field testing, then this would be a perfect time to contact your campus and see exactly what they will be participating in. It is important to note, though, that all students will take the NJ Ask this year, regardless of whether they are participating in the field test for PARC or not. But whether your child is involved in field testing, each student will take that NJ Ask. So what will the test look like?
This slide is a visual graphic of information relevant to the English Language Arts NJ Ask for the 2013-2014 school year. The first element you will notice is that this graphic relates to grades 3 to 8, as these grades have all transitioned to focusing on content aligned to the Common Core State Standards. Next, you will see the types of tasks students will see when taking the ELA: different reading selections, informational and literature passages, writing tasks, multiple choice questions, and open-ended responses. Moving to the left, you will see the point values associated with each test and how those points are derived. Each total score, 50 points for grade 3, 56 for grade 4, 62 for grade 5, and 52 for grades 6 through 8, will be calculated based on scores for writing tasks and questions based on reading selections. Finally, the bottom portion of the visual indicates the number of questions under each section. Grades 3 to 5 are shown individually, and grades 6 to 8 have the same number of questions.
The next visual will offer information about the newly aligned grades 3 to 5 mathematics NJ Ask. The focus of this graphic is, again, grades 3 through 5. The 5 mathematical domains students will be assessed on are represented on the left side of the chart. Although the domains are all important in their own right, some domains are given greater emphasis than others at different grade levels. Also, some standards build upon knowledge and skills acquired in previous grade levels. This is illustrated in the next portion of the graphic, the weightage of questions by grade level in each of those domains, shown in bar graph format. So you can see the different domains as it moves through the grade levels and exactly how many points will be offered per grade level. Moving to the right side of the chart, the types of problems and their assigned point values are shown, offering a sample of how the total of 50 points will be reached. The total number of points on the NJ Ask devoted to each domain can be broken down into 3 main types of problems, and this information will be consistent between grades 3 to 5 and grades 6 through 8. They will each experience these 3 types of problems. The first will be set up in multiple choice format. the student will be required to choose the correct answer from a set of 4 possible answers. This is the most traditional type of question that we're familiar with. Each correct response is worth 1 point toward the total score. Although the student is given the opportunity to do any required work to arrive at the correct answer, the work is not in any way considered as part of the score on that exercise. The second type of problem is called a short constructed response, or SCR. This type of problem also requires only a single answer, but the student is not given choices from which to choose. Instead, the answer must be written in an appropriate space in the test booklet. A correct response is worth 1 point. There is no partial credit option on this type of exercise. Again, the student is given space in which to do work, but the person scoring the exercise only looks at what is written in the designated space. And the third type of problem is called an extended constructed response, or ECR. This type of problem ordinarily has multiple parts and requires the student to perform more than one task. The purpose of an ECR is to test for mathematical understanding. As a result, the ECRs are scored on a scale of 0 to 3. The people scoring the ECRs must determine the level of accuracy and understanding demonstrated by the student. It is possible for a student to receive partial credit on an ECR even if he does not put down a correct answer. The student may offer a written explanation that demonstrates a moderate level of understanding even if he is not able to arrive at the correct answer. And conversely, a student may not receive full credit for an ECR simply by writing down the correct answer if he cannot explain the mathematical reasoning behind his approach to the problem. Finally, the pyramid on the top right expresses the transitions that have taken place. So you can see that all grades, or all students in grades 3 through 8, will now be tested on content that has been aligned to the Common Core State Standard. And this is a small change from last year. Last year, students in grades 3 through 5 were tested with Common Core State aligned, and then students in grades 6 to 8 in New Jersey Core Curriculum aligned standards. So let's take a look at what those grades 6 through 8 students will be testing this year. Again, this image will offer a visual representation of the aligned grades 6 through 8 math for the NJASC. And again, we will start with the mathematical domains that the students will be assessed on. They are represented on the right side of the chart. Next, we move to the weightage by domain, and this is shown in the 3 different portions of the chart. And as you can see, one domain, functions, which is on the bottom right of the chart, is tested only in grade 8. And one domain, which is in the top left, ratios and proportional relationships, is only tested in grades 6 and 7. That is why, when we looked at the mathematical domains, you see that there's 6 listed here instead of 5. But again, each grade level is tested only on 5 domains. So in this opportunity, students will they'll use this weightage to equal 49 points for the grades 6 through 8 in NJASC Math. And again, moving in the center portion of the chart, you can see the types of problems and their assigned point values. These are the same 3 types of problems that we reviewed on the grade 3 to 5 chart. The multiple choice, which are 1 point each. The SCR, the short constructed responses, where students will have to write an answer and are not given options. Those are also 1 point each. And then the extended constructed response, where students will have to arrive at the answer and show their work. And these are scored on a value of 0 to 3. So what does it mean that the NJASC is now in its last transition year? How will it affect the students? For the most part, students will not even realize that they are in the midst of an assessment transition this school year. As we discussed on the previous slides, the grades 3 through 8 Math and ELA NJASC had already been modified in order to implement the Common Core State Standards. So students already felt some of this change last year, and most will not even recognize these final changes have taken place. However, these tests still will not be the final one developed. They are still considered transitional because the full range of the Common Core state standards will not be assessed until the final test is released by PARCC, which will be administered in the spring of 2015. And as New Jersey is a member of this consortium, the state, along with any others in the PARCC consortium, will use the framework suggested by PARCC. So now that we have developed an understanding of the role of the Common Core state standards in your child's education, as well as the current NJASC test and what it will assess, it's important to recognize the best way to support your student. Any type of standardized test can be frustrating, and the NJASC is no exception. Children and parents can become easily stressed and overwhelmed with the entire process. But paying attention to a few key things before, during, and after the test can go a long way in alleviating that stress and increasing the chance for success. One of the most important ways you can help support your student through the NJASC is by understanding the test itself. Children are inquisitive, and they are not afraid to ask questions, particularly if they're worried about the test. Your ability to answer their questions can go a long way to putting their minds at ease. Common questions children may ask are listed here. The NJASC is designed for all students, even those who struggle with disabilities. All testing occurs within 1 week for each grade level, and it will be spread out over multiple days. Third graders test over 4 mornings, fourth graders test over 5 mornings, and fifth graders will also test over 4 mornings. Similarly, students in grades 6, 7, and 8 will also test over 4 mornings. The test is timed, and it ranges from 60 to 90 minutes for elementary grades and 60 to 150 minutes for middle grades. The NJASC typically focuses on 3 types of questions: the multiple choice, open-ended, and then constructed response.
The second way parents can prepare their students for success on the NJASC is by continually supporting academic work. Students need to develop a deep sense of accomplishment in regards to their daily work. This occurs when parents consistently encourage daily success. Stay actively engaged in your child's education. Know what types of assignments they are working on. Monitor student success on assignments, and have regular conversations with your students about what they are learning. When you allow your student to see that their education is important, they are more likely to take it seriously.
A third way to help your child before the test is to constantly promote the importance of literacy in your family. This can occur in a variety of ways. Encourage your child to read, but do not stop there. Ask them to retell you what they read. Glance at the back of the book. Pick a character name and ask them to describe that character to you. Invent ways to have open dialogue about what they are reading. Additionally, let your child see you reading as well. Whether it's the newspaper, a research piece, or even a fiction book, allowing them to see that adults read regularly can go a long way in helping support their success.
A final way to support your child before the NJASC is to offer opportunities to practice similar assessments. Students must be given the opportunity to regularly practice for the test. Success on any standardized test requires a combination of skills in understanding content and familiarization with the test itself. Consistent test rehearsal with Common Core and New Jersey Ask aligned test prep programs offer students the opportunity to combine both skills.
Research shows us that students perform at their best on standardized tests when they feel comfortable with the test content as well as the test format. That way, they can focus more on what is being asked and less on how it is being asked. One program that allows students the opportunity to practice these tests in a setting that mirrors the guidelines and the framework of the NJASC currently is Lumos Learning. This can be used to extend classroom learning as a supplemental program. It is self-paced, student-directed, individualized, and personalized learning that can improve student performance on any grade level standardized test. Lumos Learning offers the most flexible types of supplemental learning materials, ranging from printed books, online assessments, instructional videos, and platforms for schools and teachers to include their own unique content. This program relies on the most up-to-date Common Core state standard-aligned resources, and all resources are aligned to the most current testing frameworks. More information can be found at lumoslearning.com/a/mj.
Support for success does not just come before the test, though. Students need to feel confident on the days they are testing as well. First, ensure your children receive ample amounts of rest in the days before the test. 4 to 5 days of testing is long for children, even if their test time only occurs for a couple of hours in the morning. When the time spent on the test is coupled with the stress many students feel, the effect can be mental fatigue and physical exhaustion. Solid hours of sleep the night before the test, plus relaxation after the test, can help overcome this. Children also need energy to increase their stamina and ability to focus throughout the test. Ensure your children eat healthy throughout the week of testing, particularly in the mornings. A balanced breakfast can give them the energy they need to be successful for the day.
A third way to prepare for success during the week of testing is to de-stress testing mornings. Even if your child indicates the test is no big deal, they each still battle with some amounts of stress on those days. You can help alleviate this by making your home as stress-free as possible. Parents, this is the ultimate time of picking your battles. If you have an argument with your child over the socks they may choose to wear for the morning, you are sending them to their test in a stressed mental state. Take the time to send them to school with an even, calm, emotional climate. And a final way to promote success on testing days is to ensure your children have the supplies they need. In most cases, every tool your child will need will be provided by the school. Rulers, calculators, and other charts, when permissible, will be given to the students when appropriate, so you do not need to worry about providing those. However, you may want to ensure your child has enough pencils, even extra if it helps make them feel more secure. Check ahead of time to be sure of your school's water and snack policy, because if allowed, ensure your child has a bottle of water to stay hydrated and increase their focus.
Test anxiety does not disappear simply because the test is over. You may have to work to ensure your child is still prepared for success even after the test is over. After all, they will be going through this process many times in their academic career, and your support after the test can help them prepare for the future. First, allow your child to relax as much as possible in the afternoons on testing days. Certainly, if they are involved in activities or have other obligations, those must be met. But even giving your child 30 minutes to de-stress as much as possible can help them recover mentally and physically.
Second, if handled correctly, students are reminded that the test is not the end-all be-all of their academic year. Your children need to learn that although much emphasis may be placed on the test, it is not their only measure of academic success. Their academic year is not over simply because the test has been completed, and they need to stay focused to remain successful.
Finally, encourage your children to talk about their test in any way they need. Do not force them to discuss the test or to analyze it piece by piece, but allow them to discuss and ask any questions they may have. Giving them this freedom can also continue to strengthen the notion that academics are an important part of your family life.
Although supporting your child is of the utmost importance, taking care of yourself is important as well. So how do you survive the period leading up to the NJASC, the week of testing, and the aftermath? First, you have to remain positive. Each of us has our opinions about standardized testing. As both an educator and a parent, I see the benefit of testing, but I also recognize how hard it can be on children. However, it does not matter how we may personally feel about the test. Testing is here to stay in some form or another. So in all of your conversations, you must remain positive about the test. Your children will imitate your opinion. If you constantly grumble about the need for the testing or comment about how ridiculous it may be, your children will approach the test with that attitude. So this is not to say that your opinion is not important or is invalidated. However, you just have to be cautious about sharing it and how you share it in front of your children.
Secondly, work to remain calm as much as possible during the week of testing. Again, your children will be able to sense your mood and will likely carry that over to the test. If they sense you are stressed and unhappy, they may go into the testing room with that same emotional climate.
Finally, you can survive the NJ Ask by arming yourself with as much knowledge as possible. Attending webinars like this, reading information from the state, and staying in touch with your local school's policies and practices will help you with that. Additionally, this will also help you determine the best way to help your child with solid test rehearsal in a low-stress environment. So now is your opportunity to ask any questions, and we've had several that have come in throughout our presentation. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and go through these questions now, and feel free to type any more in the chat box, or some of you can also have the opportunity to raise your hand after we move through these questions. So the first question is, will we get access to this presentation? And absolutely, as we mentioned at the beginning, our presentations are videotaped and archived and will be accessible on the website, and you'll also should receive an email link giving you access to the presentation as well. A good site, the next question is, what is a good site to take sample NJ Ask tests? Obviously, as we mentioned, Lumos Learning does provide a diagnostic test and then also 3 additional tests. And in addition to those sample tests, we also provide workbooks on specific standards. So if your child takes a diagnostic test and say they're having difficulty on one of the mathematical domains, you can find that standard and they can do an additional workbook that has questions. You can also find sample questions on the New Jersey Department of Education website. They keep their website fairly updated regularly so that they have a pretty good bank of sample questions that are on there. The one question was, I do not see sample NJ Ask for science in grade 4. And again, if you're referring to from Lumos Learning, we do not have content for that at this point. Our focus had been on math and English language arts. However, the New Jersey Department of Education website does have some of that information. And again, you will have access to the presentation as it comes through. And we will shortly have a similar graph for science for grade 4 that will show you, for the visual, the infographics that show you the point value there as well. I'm scanning through the questions real quick. One of the questions is, what is the best way to supplement computer test prep with preparation for the essay writing portion? One of the best things to do is to have your child to write as often as possible. You can give them a prompt. There are sample questions within our computer preparation, and then the students have the opportunity to write those out. The only portion is with that, they are not scored on the website. They can be scored. There are sample essays that are given to give students an example of what a full score sample essay might be, or there are also times when there are samples listed of what should be included, specific paragraphs, topics, mentions of characters, that might be included as well. And one of the questions was, the charts from the presentation were a little small, and so any chance to have the clearer version. And I will look into that and see if we can get hard copies mailed out to that as well. There will be an email address on the next page where you can also go through, and if you have not heard anything about the charts, I would send an email to that address and see if they can provide it for you as well, but we should be able to get that sent out to you.
We should be able to send it out in a PDF that they can print as well, Marissa.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there were some questions on how to practice writing for both the writing and then also for the extended constructed responses in math. And if you go through the extended constructed responses in math are typically going to be, have you shown your work? That's really what they're looking for. It's not specific wording. It's has the student shown deep mathematical understanding. So the best way you can encourage that at home is that even if your child can arrive at the answer by completing the problem in their head, they still need to write it down. And I know that frustrates many students because they look and they say, I already know the answer to this. Why am I writing this down? But you're getting them in the practice of being prepared for these extended constructed response questions in math. And I see that's all the questions that we have at this point. I'm going to scroll through. I don't see anybody that's raised their hand. I'm going to glance one more time and see, and I think that's all the questions that we have had asked at this point. And again, one final question, will we have access to this presentation? Absolutely, you will. So what we would like to do now is go ahead and we'd like to, before we fully end the webinar, I would like to share with you a couple of important pieces of information. We always like to keep our discussions active and provide additional information as we move into this testing season. So we would greatly appreciate it if you would like to join that discussion by liking our Facebook page and then staying active in the discussion there. And our Facebook page is listed on this slide. It's facebook.com/Lumos Test Prep. Additionally, we would love your feedback from the presentation. So you will be getting an email with a SurveyMonkey link, and that link is also on the Facebook page. And the survey should only take 1 to 2 minutes of your time. So if you have the opportunity to do that, because we're also looking for people who will be able to review our books on Amazon and Facebook. And so we would like to thank you for doing this by helping send you access to one session of one of our popular webinars for your students, either from our Master Study Skills series, of which there were 4 different webinar sessions for that, or our Write Better workshop, again, which there were 4 sessions to that. So you would receive one session once you complete a review on both Amazon and Facebook. Please send an email to the support address above, which is support@lumostestprep.com, with a link to both reviews, and we will be able to send you an email giving you your choice of which webinar series you would like to attend. And if you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to let us know. You can email that email address at support@lumostestprep.com or by calling us at one of the numbers seen on the screen here. And again, we'd like to thank you for joining us here today and being in active participation and asking some great questions. Thank you so much, and we hope that you have a good day.